Okay, here is the LECA. This has been soaking for about 48 hours. So we're gonna talk about 3 ways that you can use LECA as far as I've learned. This is a great soil amendment, but I'm talking about using only straight LECA that I've learned. So the first method, I'm gonna move this aside. The first method is the no drainage method. It's not the best way in my opinion, but it's still really pretty and it can work. I've used it multiple times. You fill the bottom with some of these LECA rocks about 1/3 of the way. About that much, maybe a little more. Okay, then you want to get one of your cuttings. I have this burgundy rubber plant, and I got a cutting of it, and I've had it in just straight water for kind of a long time, and it's taking forever to root. So I wonder if I switch it to LECA, it would do better. So you want to stick it in, there's not very many roots, but I'm going to stick it in there like this. If you had more roots, you'd want to spread it along the top and not be in like one clump. So I'm going to do it like this. And then you backfill with LECA. Oh, one thing about LECA is it's easy cleanup. I mean, they do kind of go everywhere, but at least it's not dirt. Okay, so it looks like this. Look how pretty that looks. I filled up this gallon already with reverse osmosis water. You can use filtered water. I think that if your tap water is good, I'm not in an area that has good tap water, so I make sure and use filtered. And I use Purived. I know a lot of people with LECA, they like to use one called GT I think it's GT Focus Foliage or something like that. But for now, this is said to work with water, hydroponics, or soil. And you want to fill this not all the way. In fact, this works through capillary action. As this is wet, it's gonna kind of like a wick. It's gonna wick it all the way up to these other ones. So you don't need to fill this up all the way. You need to fill it up about 1/3 of the way. Right at the bottom of where the roots are. A little more. So this is what the end result looks like. I think that's really pretty. So I wanted to make a point that I am using Purived. This is supposed to be used for hydroponics or soil, but some people get really technical with it, with balancing the pH, and they have different things that they're mixing together to make sure that the pH is right in the water. Honestly, that's probably a good way to go, but I'm a lazy plant parent, and I'm like one and done kind of person. I just need one thing to make it as easy as possible for me. For now, this has been working. I haven't had a hard time with it. My plants thrive in it, whether they're in soil or water. And so I'm going to keep doing that. But I showed earlier the GT Foliage Focus. That's also a one and done solution. You can use that. It's pH balanced. And so if you want to get really technical and have a pH meter, test the pH constantly, adjusting it, you can do that. But for me, this has worked, and I'm going to stick to it for now unless something changes in the future. This is the first one. We're going to move into the second way of doing LECA, called the Submersion Method. So you have a cache pot, one without any drainage. This is just what this one looks like. I got this on clearance at Big Lots that was closing down. This is like $1.80, I believe, which is nice. And then I have these dessert cups that my mom gave me. It did not have any drainage, but I used a soldering iron to make these holes. And so it's gonna sit directly in here like that with your plant. And the LECA will be filled, and you'll submerge it till about right there. And so I'm gonna demonstrate that for you right now. Okay, so here is this LECA. I'm gonna fill it about 1/3 of the way. We're gonna place these cuttings Okay. And then you backfill with the LECA. There you go. So that's what it looks like. And it's working on growing new roots. I'm gonna go ahead and put a rooting hormone in this. What you're gonna wanna do is fill this to where it's the water level will be right there once it's submerged. Okay, so we have all these holes, and these holes are to help with airflow. Your roots need airflow to not get root rot. And so that's why I like this method a lot versus the one that's just submerged with no drainage, this one. It still works like I said, but I feel like this helps the roots be even healthier because it has all that airflow, not just in the bottom, but even through the sides. And so I'm gonna put some rooting hormone in this as well. So this is the rooting hormone that I use most often, I would say, but I know there are a lot out there that work just fine. And so honestly, I don't measure with my heart, but kind of, but I'm just gonna do like 3 drops. And then we'll just submerge this just like this. And so at the very end, I'll talk about how often you change the reservoir and stuff like that. So, doesn't that look really pretty? Okay, so the last method, this is the wicking method, and it's kind of similar. So there's a cash pot. I got this on Amazon, and it comes with this, but I put these extra holes in the side for airflow. If you watch the LECA Queen's channel, she talks all about LECA and different methods and stuff, and she does this too, and all her plants are thriving. So I'm like, okay, why not do what seems to be working for someone else and try that out? And it seems to be doing really well. And so it sits just like this, the space right here. And so the LECA will be up here in the bottom, but I'm gonna put a wick through here, and the wick will hang down, and it will wick up that water to the LECA for your plant. Okay, so I have this cutting. This is a Dracaena cutting, and it's been rooting in water. This actually broke off one of my big trees downstairs. It was a rescue from Lowe's, and so I feel like some of these leaves are, it was suffering from root rot. So as these new leaves grow up, I'll be able to take off the ones that aren't as pretty, but it's rooted really well. And so it's definitely not a propagation anymore. It's just a straight up plant, but I'm gonna let it live in LECA with the wicking system. I think it's gonna look really pretty in this pot. So I bought this wicking string. It works really well for my alocasia corms, but it might be a little thin. I'm still gonna use it and see how it works, but if I'm noticing that it's not wicking up enough water and I need a thicker string, I'm gonna order that. Okay, so here's the string. Gonna let it stick it through these holes. I think that looks good. And so that makes sense. This is gonna wick up the water that I put in the bottom to the LECA. And so I'm gonna go and fill this about 1/3 of the way. I'm gonna take my cutting and I'm gonna spread out these roots best I can without damaging them. This specific plant has pretty hardy roots though. Okay. And then I'm going to backfill with LECA. Okay, so we have our plant in LECA. This is what it looks like. And now I'm going to fill up the reservoir. Like I said, you don't want, you just want the wick soaking it up, so you don't want to fill it up over here, like with the submerging method. You just want it to be where the wick is pulling up this water. I'm not gonna put a rooting hormone in this because it already has a lot of roots. So I'm just gonna fill up with this fertilizer water. And it'll sit just like that. And you see how the bottom of this pot is not touching the water, only the wick. So the wick is gonna pull up that water. And like I said, if you notice it's not staying wet enough, then you can make the wick more thick wick more thick, and that should help. Personally, this is not my absolute favorite method. I think that this submersion method is my favorite because I feel like it gets more evenly moist in my opinion, but it does work. I feel like this is really good for if a plant doesn't need to stay super evenly moist, or if it dries out a little bit and it's more forgiving. I feel like this wicking method is just fine. So I will say that all three of these cuttings or plants were in water previously. So when they're in water, they're already used to being in a water reservoir. So I think they're gonna transition or be in LECA. Being in LECA is not gonna be such a hard thing for them. When you're transferring something from soil to LECA, that's a whole different process, a whole different video. And you have to be a lot more gentle in that process because soil roots are different from water roots. You're transitioning, for example, something like this. Speaking of, I need to water this definitely. This, you're gonna have to get all the soil off, maybe put it in water, let it grow some water roots, and then put it in some LECA, because otherwise it's just going to rot if you leave any of the soil on. It's a whole different process, and I'm going to make a video on that. But for now, I just wanted to note that all of these had already been in water, so they're going to do just fine. So I'm going to show you how to flush these plants. You're supposed to flush them at least once a month because all of the nutrients in this water are going to absorb, and then over time, the top of this LECA is going to start getting some mineral buildup. It's not mold. It kind of looks like mold, but you just need to flush it. It's as simple as putting it in water, flushing it out, letting it drain out the bottom, and that just helps kind of reset it. And then you can put some new nutrient solution in it. Okay, so I just put these in their nutrient solution, and they're not needing flushing, but I just want to demonstrate it just so you know what it looks like. And in the future, when these start getting it's called, you can take the time to rinse the leaves and clean the leaves off as well. So the one with the closed container, I just got this glass jar. There's no plant in it, but just to show how you flush this. Either pour it out, rinse the LECA with the plant and everything. But if you want to just keep the plant in it, this is what you would do. As you can see, it's a good time to rinse off the leaves. If you get pests, it's good to blast them off. You can see that with this method, it's a little bit harder to rinse out, but it still works. And so if you want to go this route, that's fine. But like I said, it's a lot easier. This is my favorite method, and this one is good too. They're all fine, but with this one, it is a lot harder to do that flush. Okay, the last thing you do is you stick them in a bright, sunny spot. Right by a window or under a grow light. I'm here for now. I may move them around the house sometime, but for now, I know they're getting a lot of light. I'm gonna have more videos on this to demonstrate, but if you have specific questions, let me know and I can try my best to make a video on it so you can have more of a visual. It's hard to cover everything in this in one video, and this one I feel like is already kind of getting long. But I just want it to be more detailed and show exactly what I'm doing. And so hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching and coming along for the ride. If you're interested in anything plant care or worm farming, I do my worm farming with my worm castings, so I can put those castings over in my soil. Check out some of my other videos. And thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.